Hi, good afternoon po. Ambassador Tess, maybe for the DFA. President Marcos earlier said that there's already a note verbal given to Chinese Ambassador Huang Xilian. So could you elaborate on whether we've already sent a note verbal or a diplomatic protest over this incident? Yes, ma'am. How was it?
Yes, a note verbal has actually been issued, and it was issued during the summon of the Chinese ambassador by Undersecretary Lazaro this morning. So in terms of statistics, just a while ago I mentioned in our chat that as of 7 August 2023, we had a certain number. But so as of August 7 now, at 11:30 a.m., the Philippines has filed 445 diplomatic protests since 2020. For 2023, we have filed 35 diplomatic protests. This includes the note verbal hand-delivered during the summoning of the ambassador.
So, Ma'am, Foreign Affairs Secretary Enrique, si Yusek Lazaro po ang nag-hand over nung
Yusek Lazaro, allow me to give more details about the summoning of the ambassador. Yusek Lazaro conveyed to the Chinese ambassador this morning the strong protest of the Philippine government on the blocking and water cannon operation by the Chinese Coast Guard and Chinese maritime militia vessels against Philippine indigenous boats conducting regular rotation and resupply and humanitarian mission to provide food, fuel, and other basic necessities to the Philippine military personnel stationed on the BRP in Sierra Madre on Ayungin Shoal. The blocking and water cannoning incident against and around the Philippine vessels on August 5 lasted for over an hour. The Undersecretary reiterated to the Chinese side that the Ayungin Shoal is a low tide elevation that cannot be appropriated or subjected to sovereignty claims. The final and binding 12 July 2016 award in the South China Sea arbitration expressly stated that Ayungin Shoal is within the exclusive economic zone and continental shelf of the Philippines, over which the Philippines has sovereign rights and jurisdictions. The DFA further called China's attention that its actions are likewise contrary to China's flag state obligation under the 1972 International Regulations for Preventing Collisions at Sea, which requires states to take measures necessary to ensure safety at sea and prevent ship collisions. The CCG vessels' dangerous maneuvers restricted the Philippine vessel's navigational path, thereby increasing the risk of collision in violation of Rules 2, 7, and 8 of COLREGS. The DFA firmly asked China to, 1, direct its vessels to stop their illegal action against Philippine vessels and to stop interfering in legitimate Philippine activities. 2, comply with its obligation under international law, including the 1982 UNCLOS and the 2016 award and the South China Sea arbitration and the 1972 COLREGS, and adhere to its commitments under the dock. During the summon, the Philippines, through the FAA, also expressed disappointment that the DFA was unable to reach its counterpart to the maritime communication mechanism for several hours while the incident was occurring, and expressed the hope that the Chinese side will reciprocate with the same sense of urgency the communication initiated by the Philippines, as has been demonstrated by the Philippines when receiving communications initiated by the Chinese side. At the same time, I'd also like to inform that as we summoned the ambassador, our ambassador in China, in Beijing, also issued or handed a protest note to the CN Foreign Ministry as of this morning.
Zen Hernandez po, ABS-CBN. Ma'am, are we going to summon the Chinese ambassador so that we can discuss this further? And of course, I would like to relay what I think the Filipino public would be asking at this point. How significant is it for us to file these diplomatic protests despite the fact that, these incidents, keeps happening?
We already we already summoned, the department has summoned the ambassador this morning. And what I actually recounted was what happened during the summoning of the ambassador. And the ambassador was with us in the department. Our ambassador in Beijing also called on the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to actually convey in strong terms our protests against what has happened in Ayungin Shoal. The value of a note verbal is in terms of correcting narratives and in terms of protesting. Some people would say, where does that result? But it's important for us to do so. It's important for the Philippines to continually assert what is rightfully ours. To allow China to continue with its narrative would be contrary to what we are supposed to do or mandated to do. And the policy of this government is very clear. As they said, not 1 inch of our territory should actually be handed over to China.
I haven't. One question lang, ma'am. I just asked one question. The other question is for our gentlemen here. Can we clarify this accusation coming from the China Coast Guard that said we are actually bringing construction materials to Ayungin? And maybe we can clarify as well if we will keep the BRP Sierra Madre in Ayungin Shoal despite all these incidents. That's it.
Just to address the question about the diplomatic protests, I think it is very important for the Philippines to continue filing these diplomatic protests, no matter what the reaction of China is. The diplomatic protests are for purposes of putting on record our continuing objection to what the Chinese are doing. The moment we stop issuing these diplomatic protests, it can be construed by China and the international community as an abandonment of our position. So this government, in particular the Department of Foreign Affairs, will continue to file these diplomatic protests, even if it runs into the hundreds, because precisely by doing so, we are reaffirming our commitment to the Philippine position that the Ayungin Shoal and all other features which we occupy are part of the exclusive economic zone of the Philippines. We exercise sovereign rights and jurisdiction over those features. As to the second question, sorry, can you repeat the question? Okay. When we do resupply missions, and I will ask our colleagues here to also add to this, no? When we do resupply missions, we are exercising our rights, no, under international law. Because as mentioned, we have a permanently stationed Philippine commissioned vessel, Navy vessel in Ayungin Shoal. Okay? So when we do supply, we provide them with what is necessary for the maintenance of the LS-57. So we provide food, we provide everything, provisions, no? Irrespective of what China says. It is our right to bring whatever is necessary to maintain the station and to ensure that our troops there are properly provisioned. So let me give the floor to the other members of the panel.
Based on the report provided to us, these are supplies that are needed by our people there to make sure that they have food to eat, water to drink, and other supplies needed.